breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host, co-conspirator, companion.
Yeah.
Dr. Glenn Harrison, what's up, bud?
I'm doing good. How are things this evening? I heard the little guy, he's a little bit upset.
He is upset.
Yeah.
He might have had what I like to call a blowout of epic proportions.
Oh.
So, you don't have any babies, but
Yeah.
when they're being breastfed, they tend to explode, to put it mildly. So he had a blowout, so we had to change some clothes and get him cleaned up.
And when
because
he was premature, right?
Yeah.
So
he was like 7 weeks premature.
So you really, really wanted him to pack on the pounds as fast as possible.
Oh yeah. Yep. There's nothing nothing better than that good old fashioned white gold, as it's called at our house.
However, when we get a little bit older, we're not so keen on trying to gain weight.
That's right. So weight is something that I think is kind of a hot button topic right now. For a variety of reasons. I think that it comes with a lot of stigmas. It also comes with a lot of health complications. So today we're going to talk about, not only weight, but weight loss and what some of the health consequences can be when you are a little bit overweight or obese. If this is your first time watching or listening and you like the information, please hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications, because we're going to continue to roll out new content like this each and every week. So why weight loss is so important? When we started looking at some of the statistics associated with weight gain or obesity worldwide, it's pretty staggering, to tell you the truth. So we're going to give you the definition as defined by the World Health Organization. So the definition of obesity as stated by the World Health Organization is defined as an abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to health. A body mass index over 25 is considered to be overweight, and over 30 is obese. So that doesn't really mean a whole lot by itself, but then you look at the other statistics, like in 2017, 4 million people died
annually
in that year from obesity or obesity-related complications.
Yeah.
So very concerning.
If there is a pandemic in this world, a real pandemic, obesity is high on the list.
That's right.
Very, very
even when we were pulling statistics, I think I pulled this from a research article or from maybe another podcast, from 1975 to 2017, and this wasn't from the World Health Organization. This was from an independent study. Childhood rates of being overweight or obese went from 4% to 18%, and that's between the ages of 5 and 19. So even in our youth, we are getting heavier. And that's concerning because, you look at 1975, 4%. So, 4 out of every 100 kids would be a bigger kid. And now it's
that's right.
18 out of 100.
That's right. So it's not just, obesity is a problem. No, it is. Our risk of it is skyrocketing. There's another statistic from 1999 to 2000. There was the obesity prevalence increased from 30.5% to 42.4%. Actually, let me rephrase that. From 1999 to 2000 through 2017 to 2018, obesity prevalence went up from 30.5% of the population to 42.4% in the same time.
So basically 10 years apart,
it
went up an additional 10%.
Yeah, exactly. And then this was another one. I know we talked about this. Obesity is such a big deal that the implication for armed forces recruitment nationwide, 71% of people between the ages of 17 and 24 do not qualify for military service due to their obesity.
Say that again, 71% of applicants don't qualify?
It says 71% of people between the ages of 17 and 24 do not qualify for military service.
Jeez.
Obesity disqualifies 31% of them from serving. So
That's
31%.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And
So
that
it's a
should be
real
the
thing.
healthiest population, right? So,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
70 to
that age
24.
demographic should be one of the healthiest, right?
Mhm.
So when you look at it, it's affecting younger people. It's affecting more of us. It's moving down like at the
And
age
it's
of 5.
progressing.
Yeah, it's getting worse, and it's leading to a whole host of other complications. So when we look at other complications associated with being overweight or obese, diabetes, heart disease,
High. Yeah,
mental illness, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, literally it's a time bomb.
that's
If you
right.
want to pick
And heart,
something that, and usually it's not one, it's all of them.
that's
You know what
right.
I mean? Usually it's like,
Heart disease is then still the number one killer.
mhm.
I think cancer follows. And what is the best way to correct your risk of heart disease? It's lean out. Don't hold on to this adipose tissue. So a lot of other complications obesity does, and that's really how it kills you. The chronic, and then we never even talked about this. So if people are concerned about weight, sometimes it's chronic illness. Their doctor told them they need to lose weight. They're having a hard time to function. Those are things, but probably the biggest thing is the aesthetic component of it, the self-esteem. You can't fit in your clothes. You look in the mirror, you don't recognize yourself. And that's, I think, it plays on an emotional trauma in ways that we can't even define. The removal from society. So yeah, the self-esteem and the confidence is a big driving. I think it's a driving force for people to start asking questions about how to get rid of weight. In fact, excessive or weight gain or trying to weight loss is probably the number 2 or the number 3 most biggest concern for people coming into my clinic.
And I think too that people are becoming smarter and more educated when they look at it. Like, it can cause a significant financial burden down the line, because not only is it going to be expensive because it's such a high comorbidity with a lot of other like chronic health diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular disease and hypertension and all this stuff, but also it's going to limit their ability to work. So when you look at, it can affect their self-esteem or their perceived value or self-worth. It can affect their bottom line, their pocketbook, but then it also affects their quality and quantity of life they're going to have. So it is a big reason that people are seeking out, what are some solutions? What can I do? Where do I start? And that was really kind of the biggest reason when we started doing some research for this specific topic, is because we get asked it all the time. And it's not just about people who are obese. It's about people who are, I've only gained like 5-10 pounds. What can I do? What strategies can I implement to feel better? So that's kind of what the motivation behind this podcast was. So I think one of the biggest things that you have to consider if you are asking yourself this question, or you're seeking these resolutions or management tips, is like, how did you end up here? Was it a lifestyle? Is it genetic where, everyone in my family's, a little bit bigger, which is fine, but there's also a lot of stuff that you can do to combat that.
That's right. Does the family culinary skills all the same?
Mm-hmm. Right. Is it like an endocrine thing, because there's been times within, I know both of our practices where they had a lot of weight gain, and you can look and you can find some, like hormone markers where you're like, okay, this could be a different issue. Could be a thyroid, could be a lot of other stuff. So investigating those issues, is it a mental thing where it's an emotional issue, or is it even an addiction, coping mechanism?
Mm-hmm.
So really analyzing the behavior that's gotten you to the point where you're at, or the certain things. I mean, if you've gained a ton of weight and it's unexplainable, you haven't changed anything at all, then I'd be like, all right, you need to check out your hormones, check some thyroids, all this type of stuff. But if it's been slow and sustained and it's built up over time, then you need to analyze your lifestyle, your habits, how you're eating, when you're eating, that type of stuff. Because small changes can make pretty profound impacts on this stuff.
Especially when they're consistent. And I think as we get older, it's harder and harder to move that weight because our bodies don't adapt as quickly. But it doesn't mean it can't be done. And of course, there's some cases I had in my office. They were, easy breezy. And there were other ones banging their head against the wall and looking at everything and anything. So everybody's different. There's no one size fits all. You're going to see all sorts of marketing scams that are, just do this for 20 days. Well, yeah, if you starve yourself completely and you get weaker and more frail, maybe you'll lose some weight, but you'll probably lose muscle mass as well. So don't fall into any of those things. Find out what the reasons are. Just like you said, Dr. Kolby, find out what the reasons are and start running with it. and look what changed in your life. Has anything changed? Has something changed? If you're not living the life you once were at the weight that you want it to be, well, then you got to get back there, and then it turns into a motivation thing. And at least putting those lifestyle inputs back to where they were, and giving it time, months and months. And if it's still not changing, well, then you have to go deeper. But don't try to leapfrog those lifestyle efforts, because there's no solution. You can't leapfrog lifestyle. And weight, when we gain weight, it's always an indicator of some imbalance. Our bodies want to run lean and mean. That's what they want to run. But we live in a world where everything is about fat storage, not fat burning. And people get addicted to these foods and
it's very easy to do it, right?
Yeah,
very
fast.
easy.
COVID, right? I wonder what the average weight gain was from working from home during COVID.
Oh, I cannot. Yeah, that'll be an interesting statistic to
if it's pulled
look
up,
at
right?
down the line.
What
What the rate of diabetes happened from the stress and eating and lack of exercise. So I think that you brought up good points, though. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right? So if it's like, oh, we're going to lose 40 pounds in 20 days.
These magic pills.
You might be able to do it. It's probably not going to be a healthy or sustainable way of doing that. So I think the biggest thing is like, where do you start? Well, what can you do? Make small sustainable changes. We've talked about this in other podcasts about like goal settings and accountability and stuff like that. Get a support system, put your goals in place and make them small and make them measurable, and then find good help and good support. And that might be that you recruit your friends and family and loved ones. It might be that you reach out to a qualified health practitioner or a dietitian or a nutritionist, whatever. Get a good support team around you, because you're going to need it. And it will not be overly fast to start probably, but you have to have, I like to look at it as like having measurables, right? So I always do a pre and post when I start working with people like this, because we always have like a 10-second memory, right? We want that instant gratification. That's how humans are programmed. When I start working with them, I take pictures of them before, during, and after, and then I will physically show them. Be like, oh, do you feel like, your health has improved? Well, yeah, I'm feeling better, but I haven't lost any weight. And then you're like, okay, look here and here. And okay, yeah, I can see it now. Mm-hmm. So even something as simple as that to help maintain some motivation.
Some objective measures. Where are you now? And sometimes it's hard to, get on a scale or take measurements, because we really have to reveal the state we're in. Mm-hmm. We can't blur. You
have to have a very real conversation with yourself to do it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of aspects of weight. Like you said, weight is always a symptom. It's never the problem, even though we focus on it because that's what we see it, but we got to dig deeper. So we dig deeper, but don't start, pursuing too many advanced diagnostic efforts unless the fundamentals, the foundational pieces were put in, because you'll end up going down rabbit holes that are going to lead to nowhere. You'll miss this.
Or they're going to be super expensive, and you're not going to feel like you're validated, and you're not going to get the results you wanted, and you're going to feel burned out on it. So I guess things that you can do, this is what I recommend to a lot, like friends, family members, whoever.
Everybody will get benefits from these.
Yes. You want to lose some weight? Consider removing simple carbohydrates out of your diet. Anything that generates a significant blood sugar spike,
that can be,
or an insulin response, get rid of it.
Starchy foods, grains, sugars, processed sugars. I'm usually not too worried about fruit, because the great fiber with the fruit, but any kind of juices, fruit juices, that's just sugar concentrate without any fiber that's going to buffer that sugar spike. The more sugar you put in your body's going to convert that into fat tissue. That's the way it works. And then your body starts running off sugar. You might want to titrate down on these things, because you could go through sugar withdrawals. But it's fundamental in trying to start changing your body composition. We talked about blood sugar spikes in the diabetic podcast, so people can kind of go to that one, because the diabetic podcast, because we did two of them. We did, right? Part 1 and part 2. That would be something to look at, because the mechanism for blood sugar elevations and diabetes is parallel to blood sugar elevations and crashes in weight gain. Yep. So you can look
resource
at that.
there.
Yeah, you can look at that. And then another thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but literally all of these strategies we're talking about, right? When we talk about like diet, guess what? We did a podcast on that. When we talk about blood sugar and diabetes, guess what? We did a podcast on that. When we talk what we're going to talk about next, which is like physical activity, guess what? We did a podcast on
That's
that.
right.
So even if you decide like, okay, I want to do this, where do I start? There's a bunch of resources available to you for absolutely free right here, where you can go, okay, like they talked about blood sugar and this, I'm going to go watch this. Oh, they talked about physical activity. I'm going to go listen to the physical activity podcast. Oh, they talked about a diet. Well, there's not one size fits all diet. For this, maybe I should listen to this podcast. You could literally take the initiative and start doing it right now on your own with absolutely zero upfront cost to you guys.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think that turns into a problem when there's too much information. We keep hunting for new, and we bounce around and we don't stick with something. There's a lot of times we're looking for a faster shortcut. We all want the fastest path to whatever goal we want to get to, but wait, it doesn't exist. And if it's a quick path to lose weight,
probably not healthy.
And just give it a few months, because it'll be something that's not sustainable, and you'll gain it all back, and it'll be harder to lose it the second time.
Right.
And who knows what else is going on with the body. So some simple things, if we talk about these things we want to avoid, do your best to get them out of the house. If they are in the house, you have the temptation. So talk to the family or whoever you're sharing your home with, and just try to remove it. Another thing everybody says, and I know we both get asked this, is, well, I have sweet cravings. Dr. Harrison, Dr. Kolby, I just like sweets. I just have a sweet tooth. I can't get rid of them. Craving sweets or starches or salts, that's your body's warning light blinking on your dash saying, I need sweets. Okay, so you give into it. But the question should be
chemical dependency. I actually reference this all the time. So actually there's a study, I can't remember, I can probably try to find it and put it in the link if we really are interested. They did a study with lab rats, and they put in one maze sugar, and they put these rats in there, and all the rats found the sugar. And then they put the rats in another maze, and they put cocaine in there, and they found all the cocaine. And then they put rats in the same maze, and they put sugar on one side and cocaine on the other. Guess which side they went to? They went to the sugar side, because it impacts your brain more strongly than cocaine.
So we should be aware of the power of this stuff, and it's laced in everything. In North America,
become chemically dependent on it.
Yeah, in North America, there's two ways to create, for culinary skills. So I'm not going to beat up on all the chefs by no means, because I'm not a chef. But there's two ways to get attention to your food. You add cheese, or you add sugar, and if you add any of those things to any meal, it will be more attractive. It will be more attractive, and people will consume them and be addicted to them, and then you'll just run off sugar and you won't tap in your own fat storage. So try to try to get rid of these sugar cravings, eating protein frequently. We've talked about this in the podcast. This can be a way to balance and start curbing your sugar cravings. I know activity, we talked about activity in podcast, but depending on what your level is, the weekend warriors do not gain. It's the people that are going for a little stroll every day. I know my dog will probably be coming around the corner from behind me, because that's what he did before. He was time to go for a walk. That's your walking
partner. He heard activity and just
it's time to go for a walk. So maybe you just need to get a dog if you don't have a dog already, and go the same time just for about a week, and your dog will come and tell you it's that time.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be long. Just small, but make sure it's sustainable. You don't want to you don't want to burn yourself out. But making these small, and don't do it all at once if you can't. If it's like, all right, I'm going to remove all the starchy, sugary things out of my house. Great. That's great. That's a great place to start. Make sure you can sustain it, then implement these other changes. Because ultimately you want it to be sustainable. You want it to be, reproducible.
That's right.
And you got to stay the course, because it's not going to be fast, but you can do it.
So. Yeah. So the outcome is maybe to change your body composition and to lose weight, but don't pay attention to the outcomes. Pay attention to the inputs. If you pay attention to the inputs, you'll always get the outcome.
That's right.
Another interesting thing about weight gain is sleep. Sleep is another major factor. We did a podcast on sleep and how to improve your sleep. And sleep medications is actually the second most prescribed medication in the United States after pain. So that's how much, that's how much sleep deprivation and how much demand there is, and people trying to get sleep. So you need to sleep. I can't remember. I think obesity rates, the last I looked, was like 8 or 12% higher in populations that were suffering from insomnia. 8 or 12. I don't know the exact number. So all you got to do is sleep. All you got to do is have a nap.
That's it. Yeah.
That's not that easy.
We just got done giving you the lecture. You know, that's not true.
Yeah. So there's some significantly powerful things that you can do. You just got to introduce one, give it a few days or a week, slide in another one. Fido will be happy. Go for that walk every evening. I don't care if you're 20 or 80, 95. Just go for a short walk every day, and there will be changes.
Absolutely. So if you guys got value out of this talk we had today,
Rant.
Yeah, I mean, I think we gave you some good information. I'd like to think, anyways. If nothing else, now you know that there's a bunch of different podcast episodes of us ranting about other stuff as well. So if you liked it, please hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and share it, friends, family, loved ones. If you'd like to get a hold of us, we have an email for the podcast. It's info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. You can get us on our websites. Mine is northlakeschiropractic.com. Dr. Glenn's is drgharrison.com. And stay tuned because we're going to continue to roll out new content each and every week, and you never know when it might be applicable to you.
That's right. Well, thanks for that, Dr. Kolby. I look forward to the next one.
All right, buddy. Sounds good.